where we have lost all the fiber intake per day, and our gut bacteria is feeling it. So the reason for this podcast was, okay, so we know that everybody's talking about millets now, and I know from a medical standpoint that my gut bacteria will love millets because of the increase rich in fiber. So I wanted to educate the audience that, hey, what is millet? Why everybody is talking about it? And how can we adopt that in our daily lifestyle? So to start with, Dr. Rao, why don't you tell us what are actually millets?
By definition, I think millets are small seeded grasses.
Huh.
They belong to the family of which belong cereals, actually, cereally, graminate family, and they are primarily akin to dryland regions of the country as well as the globe. So they are grown across the globe in about 131 countries, and they are known since Ho age. 3000 years back also the civilization speaks about. All the holy scriptures point about millets. Primarily these are the ones that offer the livelihood for the smallholder farmers. It's very important that we need to consider that aspect, because not only they are dryland crops are in India, about 50% of the area is under dryland regions. So there is parts of Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Deccan Plateau, Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, all these belong to Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. So we have a very rich array of millets that are distributed across the country. So these millets are the traditional crops. Primarily, once upon a time, they used to be the staple diet of the people. Now, if you historically try to look into an Indian context, I think in 1950, I think about 32 million hectares of millets were grown.
Wow.
So
1950.
1950.
Not that far.
So then now you see that over a period of time that the millet cultivation has come down. So primarily because of the Green Revolution. Green Revolution. You know that Norman Borlaug, who initiated in the globe, and in India, Professor M.S. Swaminathan, introduction of rice and wheat into this world, the short duration crops and high yielding varieties. So these brought a big change. In fact, though there was a resistance, but over a period of time, so the rice and wheat, because then the government of India, independent India, was thinking about the food security. So because the need was that we were importing grains from United States of America under PL 480. There were instances when some of the consignments were of a poor quality, substandard quality. Then the government thought that we should have our own food security. So while framing the food security, they brought a lot of technological revolution of Green Revolution, which is based in Indian Agriculture Research Institute, based in Pusa, New Delhi. So these crops were brought in, but in Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, I think that's what it is. But
rice and wheat.
Excessive.
What year?
Surplus. This I was talking about 1964.
1964.
Just if we brought out the high yielding varieties, and our yields were very high. So we succeeded in getting quantity food productions. So they cannot, Punjab, Haryana people or Uttar Pradesh, they cannot consume all the things. So they thought that this has to go as a public distribution system across the country. So in the process, though there was initial resistance, but the biggest sufferer was millets.
So you're saying that before rice and wheat was introduced, millets was there.
32 million hectares.
32 million hectares. So when you say dry land, what do you mean? Because of warm temperature?
See, dry land is primarily in terms of the soil and water environments. Second thing is about the temperatures that the regime that it has, the high temperature regime.
And we're talking about what? in centigrades like 37.
So I think ideal temperatures must be 37 to 40 degrees, but they can also withstand up to, literature supports that they can withstand pearl millet especially. It can go up to 50, 60, 50
Wow.
degrees centigrade.
So millets cannot be grown that in cold, even for 20-25 degrees.
So this is what is the primarily millets are relegated to the Kharif season, what we call as a rainy season. That is starting from June to September, October. So that is the time where because these are all rain-fed crops. When rain comes, whatever the little water that is available, they'll make use of it and grow. It's not, they are not grown in the irrigated ecosystems where rice and wheat, they have a stored water and then they'll be supplying at a regulated thing. So these crops are primarily dependent on the rains. Monsoon, what we call. So we have two monsoons, southwest monsoon and northeast monsoon. Northeast monsoon is something more relegated towards Tamil Nadu and other places, but the southwest monsoon is it covers the majority of the areas. So what India depends on that.
This reminds me of the geography class I had.
Okay.
In my school.
Okay.
Northeast, southwest, I still remember.
Yes.
Nostalgia.
So India is a tropical and subtropical country.
Correct.
So that's what we are very close to equator.
The reason I'm asking that was, so in US, is it being grown? Can it be grown? Is it being grown? And if it's so, which part of the country do you know?
See, I think exactly I cannot tell, but I will give you some global statistics. Globally, it is grown around about close to 80 million hectares. Primarily, they are grown sorghum. Sorghum is jowar, what we call in India, and the pearl millet, what we call bajra in India.
Bajra.
These two are the major things. Others are minor in nature in terms of the distribution and occupation. But I think if you can really trace back the countries that are grown, Africa is a big. Asia is especially Southeast Asia, Southwest Asia, and all the. Then you have. Some little bit in Europe. In Europe, it must be to a certain extent, but in Americas, especially the North America, they have millets, especially in the states of. You can Texas. You see the weather that you can southernmost part.
Correct. Like similar to Indian weather.
Indian weather. So there it is primarily grown. Kansas. So the research is also pronounced in those universities where these millets are grown. So, but the types of millets that are grown in India and Africa, they vary from that of America and Australia, where primarily they are grown for the fodder grains. The type of the grain, the entire architecture of the crop itself is very different in case of those things. But now the renewed interest because of the International Year of Millets.
This is the 2023 is the International Year of Millets.
So that was the United Nations State General Assembly has announced, and it was a very successful event because independent India had never. This is India led.
Oh, so India led first event of wow.
So because India is a global hub of millets.
Correct.
We grow about 20% of the global production, 90 million million tons out of which.
Which is the next country close to us?
So there are some Nigeria and others. But the US is also one of those countries where it is grown.
Let me ask you this. You said that rice and wheat came around 1964 and then, slowly that got popular. Is that the same thing in Africa and other places as well?
No, not really. So the introduction of rice and wheat also happened there. See, primarily the economic theory, what it says is that as your incomes are growing, it's almost the underdeveloped nations have become developing nations.
Correct.
Developing nations are becoming developed nations.
Correct.
Now, India says that we will be the top three. What Mr. Modi, Honorable Prime Minister, was talking about. We'll be in the next decade, you will see that we will be top three or so. So it means that as the incomes are growing bigger, higher and higher, there is also change in food habits. People tend to go from cereals to non-cereal pulses and energy efficient, dense foods and all those things.
You're talking about the cereal grain.
Grain.
Not Kellogg's.
Not Kellogg's. Of course, they use that, but it's as a breakfast cereal. Breakfast cereal.
You're talking about cereal grain, guys. Cereal grain.
Yes. But it has become synonymous if you get into United States, and many now it has come to India also. You see that the grains, the flakes that are available, muesli that is available, are all
Mostly.
owned by Kellogg's, and they are doing quite a good influence on that. But now we are just trying to put some pressure on, some sort of an influence on them to get into millets, because so how we can bring in the breakfast cereals made out of millets,
Millets.
a healthy choice.
Wow.
So deviation from the junk foods that are there. So that I think, because Kellogg's is not Indian based, but they have their branches across the
Correct.
multinational
Correct.
companies.